Guest brought in a painting by California artist Percy Gray, a gift to the wife's parents in 1938. The painting is a typical scene for Gray, featuring rolling green hills, oak trees, and California wildflowers. Several factors contributed to the painting's value. First, the artist, Percy Gray, was a well-established California painter who had received training from a prominent American Impressionist artist, William Merritt Chase. This training instilled in Gray a strong foundation in the principles of light and color, which is evident in the vibrant and well-saturated colors of the painting. Finally, the painting's excellent condition, with no major signs of wear or tear, and colors that retain their brilliance, is a significant factor in its value. Watercolors are particularly susceptible to fading and foxing over time, so a well-preserved piece like this is especially desirable. In addition to the fact that the painting remained in its original frame added to its overall presentation and value. Original frames can sometimes be works of art themselves, and their presence with a painting can contribute to its authenticity and provenance. Considering these factors, the estimated value for the painting is
it's worth on the order of $20,000 to $30,000.
Wow, that's terrific.
Next, we take a look at this 1962 Sonic Blue Fender Stratocaster. Guest bought the guitar at a pawn shop for $135 in 1965. Made by Fender, it belongs to the Stratocaster series. It has a unique Sonic Blue custom color, a very rare color used by Fender. This color was first used on 1956 Cadillacs before they adopted them. They were, however, not popular, so not many were made. The popular custom colors were Olympic White, Candy Apple Red, and Lake Placid Blue.
And what has really sent these kind of into the stratosphere is the fact that John Lennon and George Harrison had a pair of them.
This relation made them the mythical color for an early 1960s Stratocaster. This guitar, which is still in good condition, is valued at about $60,000.
Well, it's good. Good to know.
We find joy with each toy. In 1977, a child developed a love for Star Wars. He collected many toys and figures. His mother bought him an early bird set and figures, which he played with a lot. Later, he found an unopened set in a mall and bought it. In 1985, he wrote to Kenner about getting collectible coins. He wanted them without buying new figures. His collection includes rare items like a double telescoping lightsaber. The pristine condition and rarity make his collection valuable, showcasing how well-kept toys can become valuable collector's items. The collection has great visual appeal and historical significance. While examining the condition of the item, the appraiser said,
"The coin set was issued after the last movie, which was done in 1983. The coin set was issued 84 through 85. But as a whole, the set at auction generally would sell somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 as a set. Auction estimate on that easily would be $6,000 to $9,000. Wow. That's extremely rare, and most people would never even notice it. This particular set in this condition, which has never been removed, that at auction, again, being conservative, I'd estimate at $10,000 to $15,000. If it was just a regular lightsaber, maybe the estimate would be in the $6,000 to $8,000 range. So that double telescoping lightsaber adds quite a bit of value. As a package, I think a fair insurance value could be anywhere from $25,000 to $30,000 for insurance purposes.
We take a break from Fender guitars, and we look at this lovely 1964 Gibson ES-335 guitar. This guitar belongs to the guest who traded his 1939 Chevrolet for it in 1971. Made by Gibson, this guitar has a maple body with a rosewood fingerboard.
The guitar has a maple body with a rosewood fingerboard.
It is one of two designs made. The other one is the Les Paul.
It's a combination of the solid body and the hollow body, which gave it kind of the best of both worlds, and it was able to eliminate the feedback you often got from hollow body guitars.
It came out in 1958 and went through other variations, having different pickups on it.
It had what was called PAF pickups, and they discontinued those in 1962 and went with these.
This model guitar was used by a lot of famous artists, such as Chuck Berry, B.B. King, Keith Richards, and Eric Clapton. The guitar came in different color variations, this being the regular sunburst. This iconic guitar is valued at about
$12,000 to $12,500.
The guest brought in a late 19th century Chinese zashin, a three-stringed instrument traditionally played during tea ceremonies. Unlike many decorative, non-functional zashins produced in the 20th century, this particular instrument was built to be played. Several details pointed to the zashin's quality and age. The wood was a type of Chinese hardwood called hongmu, veneered with rosewood on the soundboard. The soundboard itself was clad in snakeskin, and the fingerboard was inlaid with decorative designs. The tightening rods featured lotus leaf and pot embellishments with ivory caps, another indicator of quality craftsmanship. While the zashin showed some signs of age and wear, such as chips and humidity cracks, it remained largely intact. Considering these factors, the estimated zashin's value
would be between $3,000 and $5,000.
with an insurance replacement value of
Appropriate insurance value would probably be about $7,500.
Okay. Wow.
We move on to this Rickenbacker guitar that the guest brings, which belongs to her husband. He got it right out of high school in 1977. It's a Rickenbacker model guitar.
Rickenbacker, Adolf Rickenbacker, is responsible for inventing and producing probably one of the first electric guitars, which was a Hawaiian.
It's the style 331 light show guitar and was made in 1971.
And what I'm loving about it is it has this great sort of light mechanism inside that when you play it, it lights up.
This is very rare, as the generators that power the lights are usually burnt off and don't work anymore. This exquisite guitar is valued at about $15,000.
The guest brought in a carved coconut bank with a mysterious past. The guest had known the object since childhood, but had no idea of its origins or purpose. The object is identified as a Mexican carved coconut bank, a popular folk art item from the 19th century. The bank featured classic Mexican motifs, including a depiction of the seal of Mexico used between 1823 and 1916. The presence of this seal helped date the bank to the third quarter of the 19th century. The origin of these carved coconut banks is not entirely clear, but there are some theories suggesting that they were made by sailors or prisoners. Unfortunately, these banks are not very durable and tend to be damaged or destroyed, especially by children, as retrieving the saved money is quite a challenge. Despite the fragility, the carved coconut bank held a significant value. At auction, this item would go for,
I think it would be reasonable to expect an auction estimate of $1,500 to $2,500.
All right. Thank you very much.
Guitar so priceless to the guest that he went to remarkable lengths to get it back when it was stolen. The guitar was purchased in 1964 with the sum of $300. The 1964 Jazzmaster, which was made by the company Fender, has a matching body and headstock.
Earlier custom color Fenders would just have the custom color on the body, but the headstock would be the blonde maple.
Despite the chips on its body, the guitar is in pretty good shape. Together with the amplifiers, the appraiser values it at about
Combination up to 10 grand for the two of them, or get fairly close.
So far, this has been my favorite guitar. Which has been yours? Let us know in the comments.
the couple, the guest and her late husband, who was a sculptor and collector, discovered a hidden treasure at a 1985 antique advertising show. 5 puppets from the animated movie The Daydreamer. Back then, they paid $350 for the set, a significant sum that they likened to their mortgage payment. However, the true value of their purchase remained hidden until the appraisal. These weren't just any puppets. They were rare reproduction puppets meticulously crafted by hand in Japan by Mom Studios. These puppets likely held the starring roles in the film itself, brought to life using the stop-motion animation technique Rankin Bass Productions was famous for. Rankin Bass Productions had an innovative animagic technique that relied on handmade puppets like the ones the couple owned, imbibing them with a distinctive charm. The Daydreamer itself, though lesser known than some of Rankin Bass's productions, boasted a unique storyline based on the life of Hans Christian Andersen, and an impressive cast that include Boris Karloff and Patty Duke. Considering the puppet's rarity, their connection to a well-respected animation studio, and their potential use in the actual filming of the movie, the estimated value is...
So today at auction for the group of 5, they would achieve in the $50,000 to $80,000 range.
Oh my gosh! Hear that, Ed? My husband passed away a little while ago at a good old age, but he would love that.
Next is another Gibson ES-335 guitar. This time, it's a 1968 model. This guitar was gifted to the guest by his grandparents when he was a kid. This iconic guitar, made by Gibson, was first produced in 1958. It has some unique features. The thin line, hollow body, and archtop construction all contribute to making it a great piece.
And the biggest thing about it is it was the first guitar with humbucker pickups in it and the thin line body.
It also has a trapeze tailpiece instead of a stop tailpiece seen in other guitars at the time.
It's nice an example as you will find. It's just spotless.
It is valued at about
$7,500 to $8,000.
Guest brought in a Spingarn Award, a prestigious honor bestowed by the NAACP to celebrate outstanding African Americans. The guest felt a deep personal connection to the award, both due to their admiration for Maya Angelou and the fact that the award's first recipient was Dr. Ernest Everett Just, the founder of their fraternity. He acquired the gold award at auction for its melt value of $1,100. The guest actually possessed 2 Spingarn Awards, a gold presentation award, and a lesser-known replica trophy. The replica trophy, which the guest's friend bought for a mere $80, could potentially fetch
about $3,000 to $5,000.
Wow, for the walk-around?
For the walk-around.
Okay.
While the guest had initially paid for its gold weight, the award's historical and cultural significance meant it could command a price tag of
In the $20,000 to $30,000 range.
The recommended insurance value for their gold award is...
We'd probably want you to insure it for around $50,000 to protect yourself.
Wow.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Oh my!
Another Fender Stratocaster makes the list. This time, it's a 1962 left-handed Fender Stratocaster. This guitar belonged to the guest's father, who received it as an 11th birthday gift from his father. As earlier said, this is a Fender Stratocaster, made in 1962. The guitar was very popular at that time.
All the great rock bands of the time, the Ventures, the Beach Boys, they all used this guitar.
This is unique. It's a left-handed model. Also, it has a special fingerboard, known as the slab fingerboard.
Later in the year, they changed to a different style of fingerboard.
The serial number shows the year the instrument was made. All the white is still in good condition. Overall, the guitar is in very decent condition.
Instruments are highly desirable today because of the way they play, the history behind them. Being a left-handed model, it makes it a little bit harder to sell because there's fewer people out there buying them as opposed to the standard right-handed model.
It's valued at about $55,000.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
This diamond and platinum bracelet from decades past encapsulates the essence of its era. The bracelet was showcased by a guest who inherited from her mother. It is a quintessential piece from the 1960s, featuring angular cut stones.
And do you remember what year your mother bought it in?
It had to be the mid-60s, because I can't imagine her taking me there when I was in high school.
Moreover, it boasts various shapes, including marquee-cut diamonds, a canoe-shaped diamond, and a baguette diamond with brilliant cuts. Additionally, the bracelet is set in platinum, a common style for pieces of its time. Furthermore, the bracelet weighs 15 carats of diamonds and is in pristine condition. This bracelet symbolizes luxury, and with its intricate designs, it is estimated to be worth...
I would probably suggest a value of at least $50,000.
Oh, okay.
An electric guitar, they say, is a musician's best friend. We begin this series with this beautiful 1950s Fender Broadcaster guitar. This guitar belonged to the guest's deceased son, who had a great love for music and guitars. It's a unique guitar, made by the company Fender in 1950, and it belongs to the Broadcaster series. It, however, has some unusual features. One, the finish on the guitar neck doesn't match that of the body. The neck is an original Broadcaster neck, dating to around 1951.
It is a Fender body. This, I believe, is a reissue from their vintage reissue series, probably made in around the 1980s.
The pickguard also could be original to that of the 1980 Fender-bodied guitar.
The neck plate, the pickups, the wiring is the original cloth wiring, the control plate, all the parts on this guitar, the tuners included, are original to the original broadcast.
This piece, which is still highly functional and in good condition, is valued at about
$8,000 to $10,000.
I'm going to keep it and continue playing it, continue to love it and enjoy it, to honor my son, Jason.
The guest brought a plate to be appraised, which her husband bought at an estate sale for $400. The seller claimed it belonged to Zar Alexander III, but the guest was skeptical. The appraiser examined the plate and confirmed its authenticity as it featured the cipher of the Zar Alexander. It had a mark on the back indicating it was made in 1892. The plate was produced after the death of Alexander II and during the reign of his son, Alexander III. It was a part of the Farm Palace Banquet Service, a specific service made for the Tsars. Many items belonging to the Tsars were sold or given away after the Russian Revolution. This beautiful and ornate plate featuring fancy scroll work was appraised at.
Now this particular plate would have a retail value from a specialist dealer at Russian Antiques of between $2,500 and $3,000 per plate. So you got two and you could just double that.
Wow. That's great news.
My word. Takes my breath.
We return to another Fender Stratocaster. This time, it's a 1957 Fender Stratocaster. It also comes with its original case and amplifier. The guest bought these items from a friend in 1961. This guitar, which is a Fender Stratocaster, comes with this beautiful blonde finish.
And you can see the serial number right there, and that shows me that it's sometime in 57, but I think quite late 57.
It's made with a fabulous, nice-feeling neck, which makes it easy to play.
Fingerboard, black dot inlays, original decal, untouched, original pickups, original whammy bar.
It also comes with the original tweed case with red lining and a period Fender Deluxe amplifier, which is in decent condition. The guitar, together with the case and amplifier, are collectively valued at about $45,000 to $55,000.
My word. Takes my breath.
In 1992, the guest purchased a carved item in London, convinced it was made of tortoiseshell. Upon closer inspection, it is revealed to be amber, a material more commonly found in Russia. The carving style suggested a late 17th century origin, similar to pieces housed in renowned museums like the Dresden Museum and the Victoria and Albert Museum. While the base wasn't crafted from the same precious metal, the amber itself was high quality and held significant value. The amber market is thriving, and a piece like this could fetch.
I think a piece like this at auctions today we'd be looking at $5,000 to $7,000.
What a pleasant surprise. Well, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
We now move on to this next guitar, which belonged to the guest's late husband. This guitar was made by the company Gibson in 1958. It's a Les Paul Jr., a guitar series introduced in 1954. The serial number on the guitar indicates, however, that it was made in 1958.
Beautiful, beautiful, clean finish. Everything is original on the guitar.
It's valued at about
a $6,500 guitar, maybe $7,000 with its condition.
The guest brought a silver centerpiece she inherited. It was passed down from her great-grandmother to her grandparents, then to her parents, and finally to her. The piece weighed 15 pounds, and the guest had no idea about its history. It was made in London in 1864 in London. It had a monumental size and was an unbelievably exquisite centerpiece. It was made by Ian J. Barnard, a very fine silversmith in London during the 19th century. This exquisite and beautifully crafted centerpiece also held a great sentimental value, and it was estimated at,
in today's market, because of the size, because of the unbelievable form, the fact that it's 140 years old, it would probably sell in a retail setting somewhere in the $15,000 to $20,000 range.
Okay. Gosh, oh, my dad is smiling somewhere. That's terrific.
We move to the next guitar, which is a 1957 Fender Stratocaster. This guitar belonged to the guest father who loved music and playing musical instruments. The guitar, which was made in 1957, has a maple neck. This neck was made up until 1958. This is called a skunk stripe.
The other thing that lets you know that it's a 57 is that it's a two-tone sunburst. This finish, instead of being black to red to yellow, is black to yellow.
It's a non-laminated plate over the tremolo area of the back. At the front, the neck has a maple fingerboard.
I took the neck off earlier, and inside of here there's a date of 8/57. And that matches with everything else that I saw on the guitar before I did that, so it made me feel comfortable in thinking it is that.
The pickguard also matches the year, and its screws look like they've never been removed. The tremolo bar, which was lost, is easily replaceable. The guitar is still in very good condition. It is valued at about $28,000 to $30,000.
Gosh, my dad is smiling somewhere. That's terrific.
Next on the list is a guitar famously regarded as a pure rock and roll machine by musician Eric Clapton. This guitar, which is a Fender Stratocaster, belonged to the guest husband's grandfather. It comes with its original case and amplifier. The serial number on the back plate, although usually not accurate by a year or so, is usually a decent way of dating the piece.
A true way to really date the guitar would be to pull the neck out and to read what might be either penciled or stamped here at the end of the fingerboard.
Pulling out the neck reveals no stamps or writings of any sort. It's not an issue, as Fender was inconsistent with putting neck dates. Fender got word about this and switched to rubber stamps in 1961. It's in remarkable condition for an instrument this old. The amplifier is also from 1959.
Inside, on the label, there is a production order number. It is IE, I standing for the date 1959, and E for the month of May.
This lovely guitar and amplifier are valued at about
$25,000.
Let me know in the comments what you think it's worth. At the end, let's see who comes closest. Value, $30,000. We now look at this beautiful 1940 Gibson L-7 guitar. This guest traded $800 worth of dill pipe for this guitar when his daughter needed it for guitar lessons. This guitar, which is an original Gibson guitar, has a lovely tweed case with stripes on it. It's valued at about
$3,500 to $4,500.
See if we can top the previous item. This guest brings a guitar he got from his brother to the show. The guitar, which was made by the company Fender, belongs to their Telecaster series. After the introduction of the series in 1952, they became very popular among country western musicians and also rock and blues artists.
This has always been the main guitar of people like Bruce Springsteen and a lot of stars.
It's still in its original condition, untouched and unaltered. The body is finished with a special finish called the butterscotch finish.
And it's kind of a transparent varnish over ash wood. And the beauty of this guitar is that it's never been repainted. It's just like any other antique. The first thing we look at is the finish and the surface. Never been altered. It's got a beautiful patina.
It has some play wear on the neck where fingers have worn through the varnish. The Fender insignia is also present. Moving down, we come to the pickguard, which is made of a single layer of black plastic. Taking off the pickup cover reveals clues about the guitar's age.
We've got a pickup where the pole pieces are just even with the top of the pickup itself. They don't protrude at all. We've got bridge pieces that are solid brass.
All these together with the serial number present indicated that it was made around 1953. This beautiful instrument is valued at about $18,000 to $24,000.
Highly sought after.
That's wonderful. My daughter will be happy. She's going to inherit it.
The guest was at an estate sale when she found this poster on an old Frenchman's wall among many others and was mesmerized by their beauty. She bought a few of them. She brought this one for appraisal because she could not find any information on it except for Dunkerque on the map of France. The appraiser identified it as a French travel poster advertising travel to Dunkerque in the north of France on the Chemin de Fer du Nord, the French railway. The poster was designed by an artist named Roger Broders, who was considered one of the best illustrators of the 1920s and 1930s. The poster was not dated, but reference books confirmed it was made in 1930. Though Broders created many landscapes, his most popular pieces featured people, and this poster displayed an exquisite couple in fine clothing enjoying the harbor of Dunkerque. This was a promotional poster created by the railway company in collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce to attract visitors to the area. The appraiser further revealed that this was one of the rarest posters chosen for the cover of Roger's poster books. The poster was original because it was a lithograph, not a photograph. Given the rarity and excellent condition of the poster, the appraiser estimated its value to be.
And that value at auction, I would estimate it between $15,000 and $20,000.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh. Okay. My husband will be very happy.
Next is this lovely guitar which brings back fond memories. It belonged to the guest father-in-law who was in a cowboy band in the 50s. Upon his passing, he willed it to his son, her husband, and it has been in their family ever since. The guitar, which is a Fender Esquire, is quite a beautiful piece. It's quite popular, notably played by several famous musicians.
It is the guitar that Stephen Stills built a career on. It's a guitar that David Bromberg built a career on. It is the model of guitar that Bruce Springsteen built his career on.
It comes with its original bridge cover, which was famously called Ashtray. The bridge also bears a serial number indicating that the guitar was made between 1950 and 1952. The screws used, however, are special screws, known as Phillips head screws.
That tells me that it was made at some point in 1952, because prior to 1952, straight screws. Straight screws, like the screws used on the pickguard.
It's also in wonderful playing condition. The appraiser values it at $40,000.
Oh my gosh. Okay. My husband will be very happy.
Showcased today is a stunning example of traditional Pueblo craftsmanship, a beautifully crafted Pueblo canteen. Our guest mother-in-law received this treasure as a gift from her family. This remarkable pottery is a tangible connection to the past of the Pueblo people. In response to the Pueblo revolt of the 1600s, they sought refuge and protection with the Hopi tribe.
And when they came back to repopulate their village, they brought their Hopi spouses with them.
Its stunning pottery showcases the beauty of tribal diversity and cultural exchange. Upon closer inspection, its beautiful design and finish become apparent.
It has a finish that we refer to as a slip glaze, and it also has these deer on there, which people like to attribute to the Zuni with these heart lines.
This museum-quality piece is astonishingly well preserved and would be a prized addition to any collection. With a projected auction value of...
An easy auction estimate for this piece would be $25,000 to $35,000.
This guest brings this lovely guitar, which belonged to her father, a great lover of musical instruments. It's a 12-string Fender electric guitar. It was made in 1965, a time when famous groups like the Byrds were still around.
Roger McGuinn was playing a Rickenbacker 12-string. Gibson made a 335 12-string, and Fender said, we need to enter that market. So between 1965 and 1969, they made a 12-string.
One unique feature of this guitar is its custom red color. Most of these guitars were in a sunburst finish. It's also called a 12-string hockey stick because of the shape of the peg head.
Desirable guitar for two reasons. One is they sound great. Two is the necks are very stable and they're very playable.
In this condition, with its custom color, it's valued at about
$5,500 to $6,000.
This collection showcases the diverse and macabre genius of Edward Gorey. Gorey was an American writer, Tony Award-winning costume designer, and artist.
Edward Gorey was one of the most original and creative, if not oddly disturbing, artists and authors of the 20th century.
Today's guest brought signed and numbered items, including rare dolls like Fig Bash, filled with rice. Gorey's unique signature style, crossing out his name and signing underneath, is evident. The Bah Humbug doll, paired with a limited edition signed book, is highly collectible. Gorey's tarot cards, signed and numbered, are a delightful assortment of his postcard work. The collection also includes a signed Gorey play poster and a charming pop-up book. Early works like The Green Beads, signed, add historical value. The Dancing Rock, signed by Gorey's aliases Ogdred Weary and Dog-Ear Ride, is a unique piece. This entire collection, from an award-winning costume designer and artist, would be valued at over
$5,000 plus.
Oh my God. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That is unbelievable.
Next on this list is this lovely Gibson guitar. It belongs to the guest whose mother bought it for her back in 1954 when he was 16 years old. She paid $225 for it.
Well, this would be the perfect guitar for Western swing, or jazz.
It's a 1954 Gibson ES-175. This guitar model was one of Gibson's early attempts to make electric guitars.
They really wanted to compete with Fender, who was nipping at their heels. They put a cutaway on it so you could play further down the neck. Right. They put the electric pickup in it.
It's very much like a traditional archtop jazz guitar.
This beautiful quilt was inherited by the guest from her mother, passed down from her great-grandmother. The great-grandmother, a missionary in Hawaii, received it from grateful Hawaiian sisters at the end of her mission. The quilt bears her great-grandmother's name and includes symbols of Hawaiian royalty and flags of the United States and Hawaii. The initials MH stand for Mission Hawaii, and the quilt dates back to 1894.
So that would have been the Church of the Latter-day Saints mission in Hawaii.
Yeah, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Correct, in Hawaii.
Hawaiian quilts, taught to the locals by New England missionaries, are highly sought after for their bold graphic designs and cultural significance.
And Hawaiian quilts have become exceedingly desirable in the quilt collecting world and in museums because there's not a lot of them.
Despite some darkening, the quilt remains in excellent condition and can be professionally restored. With its rich symbolism and history, this quilt is valued at
between $9,000 and $10,000.
Goodness, that is amazing.
The next piece leaves the appraiser in awe.
I always thought I was the ultimate music fan until I met you today.
This guest brings his special guitar, which has about 150 autographs of various musicians on it.
Everyone from Johnny Cash to Johnny Winter, and it took you 16 years to accrue these.
These autographs cover every genre, from jazz, bluegrass, and country to rock and roll. Some notable signatures include those of Stevie Ray Vaughan, Dizzy Gillespie, Chick Corea.
The fact that you have everyone from Bonnie Raitt to Don Was, John Denver, you have Timothy Leary, yes, going back to the acid age of the 60s, Johnny Cash, Elton John, David Crosby, Aretha Franklin, Bill Monroe Bluegrass.
This truly is a remarkable collection. The appraiser talks about the value of the signatures.
Each one of them separately may not be worth much, but you put them all together, and that is quite a grouping.
At auction, this autographed guitar is valued at about $6,000 to $8,000. What do you think about the value of the guitar? Let us know in the comments.
There are landscape paintings, oil paintings, and figural paintings, but this painting looks like one you would see in a magazine. Interestingly enough, the painter was a magazine artist named Hugh Joseph Ward.
Originally from Philadelphia, he actually worked as a cartoonist at the Philadelphia Inquirer and then graduated to doing his own freelance work and working up in New York.
The painting is from one of the magazines Ward illustrated for, and the first feature that stands out is its distinctiveness. We can see the woman depicted here holding a gun, and the contrast in color is really distinct. As an original piece of magazine art, this painting would retail at an auction price of
I would expect this at auction should comfortably make between $10,000 and $15,000.
Nice, nice.
The guest's mother bought this map from an antique store. In 1990, while traveling in Edinburgh, the guest spotted a woman taking pages out of a book and painting them, suddenly realizing that this map was created similarly. The appraiser revealed that this map was by a man named John Speed, whose name appeared in the cartouche. John Speed was a significant early British cartographer, notable for being British when most cartographers at the time were Dutch. This was a 17th century map with the date 1610 written in the corner, suggesting the year it first came out, though this particular copy was from 1611 or 1612. The map's engraving was done by Jodocus Hondius, a Dutchman, although the map itself was British. The appraiser explained that initially, maps were made and sold without colors, but the British introduced the idea that coloring maps would enhance their marketability, which proved successful. This was one of the beautifully colored maps. The appraiser noted that colors increased the map's value and made them highly desirable, estimating this one at a significant amount of
This map would probably sell for about $2,000 to $2,200.
Really?
Guest purchased this mahogany center table at a farm auction about 10 years ago, paying no more than $40. Despite primarily being an arts and crafts furniture enthusiast, the guest was drawn to the table's lines and overall appeal. The appraiser identified the table as an Edwardian reproduction in the George III style, dating between 1900 and 1915. The table featured neoclassical elements, intricate inlays, and delicate legs. The legs featured fine string inlays that encircled each leg entirely. Remarkably, the legs retained their full height, showing no signs of wear or shortening. Confirming the piece's English origin, the appraiser noted its excellent condition and high-quality craftsmanship. The guest, hoping it was worth over $100, was pleasantly surprised to learn that table's estimated auction value ranged from
At auction, it would probably be in the $800 to $1,200 range for an estimate.
That's nice to hear.
The guest brought in a glass piece that his mother purchased in the mid-1970s in Indiana. The guest's mother had passed away, and no one else wanted the piece, so the guest ended up with it. Upon closer inspection, he discovered the signature of Emile Galle on the piece. Emile Galle was a renowned glassmaker and jeweler who set the standard for French art glass, particularly cameo glass. The piece was identified as fire-polished cameo glass, a technique that involved cutting and heat polishing the glass. The piece had a beautiful green color and a nice palette. The guest had no idea of the piece's value. Due to its historical significance and exceptional craftsmanship, the appraiser estimated the piece at
Okay, this is a nice big piece, nice palette, nice interior color. I would say probably $3,000 to $5,000 at auction.
He brought in an old trunk he inherited from his father, who had received it from a close friend. The 1925 Goyard hat trunk epitomizes early 20th century luxury and craftsmanship. Known for luxury and durability, Goyard crafted this trunk with functionality and elegance. The trunk's lift-out tray and liner both bear the iconic Goyard branding on their straps. The trunk's exterior features Goyard's iconic chevron pattern canvas, often reinforced with leather for durability and style. The interior remains remarkably bright and clean. Then there's the Goyard label, complete with its distinctive serial number. The trunk's interior is lined with luxurious silk or velvet. Apart from a metal tag, the trunk showcases the iconic Goyard pattern seen on their goods. Condition greatly affects value. Noticeable issues include losses and roughness. In awe of its timeless elegance, the appraiser valued the item.
I think its retail value would be around $2,000, which would also probably be around the low end of an auction estimate.
The guest brought in a powder horn they received in a trade back in the 1970s, likely for some turquoise or other Native American jewelry. The piece is a modern replica, not an authentic 18th century powder horn. Several clues give away the horn's inauthenticity. First, the top section, while appearing quite old with its leather strap, has been carved down to fit onto the horn itself. Second, the bottom holder resembled a drawer pull, a design inconsistent with genuine period pieces. Finally, the engraving on the horn, while very well done, depicted a peculiar combination of elements, including a map of upstate New York and a European sea creature. These details suggested the engraver had compiled imagery from various sources rather than adhering to traditional designs. Despite being a replica, the artistic merit of the powder horn is exquisite. The intricate engraving and overall aesthetic could hold value for a collector interested in such pieces. The estimated current worth is to be
it's probably worth $1,200 to $1,500 in today's marketplace to a collector who would say, wow, this is a beautiful, beautiful copy.
The guest inherited this tile art piece from his father, who had received it from his aunt and displayed it on the wall for many years until deciding to sell his home. A realtor offered him $50 for the piece, that increased the offer to $200, but her father declined both offers, sensing its value. The appraiser identified the piece as a beautiful Rookwood scenic vellum plaque. Rookwood, a prominent American pottery company based in Cincinnati, Ohio, started in 1880 and employed many skilled decorators, producing various items including vases, tiles, gardenwares, and plaques. The plaques were distinct because they were decorated similarly to their vases. This particular piece was decorated in the scenic vellum glaze line. The appraiser noted the original frame and the Rookwood paper label on the back, which provided the title and artist Sally Coyne, one of Rookwood's finest decorators. The plaque was dated 1916, indicated by the RP mark with a flame per date after 1886, a Roman numeral for the year, and a V for vellum. The prices on the back likely referred to the frame, $190, and the plaque, $20, when originally sold. The plaque had accumulated some grease or smoke residue over time, which could be cleaned off to restore its true colors. The appraiser estimated its auction value to be between.
This is an absolutely lovely tile. At auction, one could expect to have that reach probably in the $3,000 to $4,000 range.
The guest inherited a beautiful and valuable paper filigree artwork depicting the combined coats of arms of the Jackson and Phillips families. The guest's aunt, knowing their interest in family history, passed down the piece believed to be from 1734. The piece is indeed made from paper using a technique called quilling or paper filigree. This art form involved tightly rolling thin strips of paper and arranging them to create a design. In this case, the artwork showcased the Jackson and Phillips family crests side by side, with an inscription indicating it was created by Sarah Jackson in 1734. The piece is really significant because it is American-made paper filigree. While quilling was more common in England, American examples were exceptionally rare. This rarity, combined with the historical significance of the family crest, significantly increased the value. The estimated artwork's value is to be
auction estimate should be in the range of $30,000 to $50,000.
with an insurance replacement value of
You're probably around $100,000.
Our little guest's grandmother gave her this Mexican jewelry collection before she passed away. These stunning pieces are by Mexican jeweler Matilda Pula, famous for her pre-Columbian inspired designs.
Now, do you have a favorite piece of the group?
Actually, I think it would be that one.
That one's very nice, and it has a very nice mark.
Matilda Pula is very popular and often copied today. These pieces are original with all the right marks. Pin alone would sell for
about $450.
Wow.
The whole collection could bring
There's probably over $2,000, $3,000 worth of jewelry in this box.
Whoa. Okay.
The guest brought in a huge piece of German furniture. The center part of the furniture was most likely from the 17th century. Unfortunately, bigger wasn't always better, and in this case, it was definitely not. The furniture was very heavy with a lot of wood and not easy to move around. It was not an easy piece of furniture to market simply because of its size. Furniture of this size was usually purchased by bars, restaurants, and places that had enough space to accommodate it. This beautifully crafted, huge and beautiful piece of furniture was appraised at
Conservatively, I think at auction it would probably fetch in the area of something like $10,000 to $15,000.
Purchased about 15 years ago, this brings in an artistic Art Deco design table for appraisal. Though most people think this table was designed by Paul Frankel, it was built by the Johnson Furniture Company in 1955. However, Paul Frankel was only working at Johnson Furniture at the time, so it is likely he did design it. The Johnson Furniture Company was a high-end furniture company that made tables for the rich and wealthy. This table was built when Art Deco was in vogue. It was thought to be part of the Skyscraper series during Paul Frankel's Art Deco period of the 1920s, but it is not so. The table is very heavy and well built and was probably made in Great Rapids. Moreover, this table has been redone and refinished, but it does not affect the price. At an auction, this table would be worth $5,000 to $6,000, but at retail, it would be priced at
At retail, it'd bring probably $8,000 or $9,000. It's a fantastic table. Thanks for bringing it in.
Thank you very much. We love it no matter what.
Exhibited here are original 20th century cartoon art collections. They are precious collections that our guest inherited from his father. These classic pieces illustrate the core essence of cartoons. While these collections are some notable pieces, such as the Joe Palooka piece and the award-winning Blondie.
Now, some people these days don't really know Blondie, but in the 30s and the 40s, he was very, very, very popular.
The most remarkable among these works of art is this one-of-a-kind Schultz piece from 1951. It is so rare, valuable, and in such great condition that alone it has an impressive auction value of.
This piece alone is worth $8,000 to $10,000.
While the whole collection is worth.
I would say your whole collection together is worth about $10,000 to $15,000.
You're kidding.
No, I'm not.
Oh my goodness.
A daguerreotype collector brought in a daguerreotype of Edgar Allan Poe for appraisal. Poe was born in 1809 and died in 1849. In 1839, daguerreotype was introduced to America from France and was gone in the mid-1950s, which means this picture was taken within a 10-year period before his death. Only 6 Daguerrean portraits of Edgar Allan Poe are known to exist. However, some damage is noticed on the face as it seems a finger has wiped the picture. And a Daguerrean picture is not to be touched or even blown at, which brings the price to around
probably somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000.
Wow.
Because of who Poe was.
Yes, yes.
The guest brought in a porcelain plaque they snagged for a mere $5 at a yard sale, transforming a casual browse into a moment of unexpected delight. It is revealed that the plaque to be a German-made copy of an 18th century Italian painting, a fascinating connection between artistic styles and eras. The scene depicted 2 boys enjoying fruit, a popular subject matter that resonated with collectors. The plaque's high quality is evident in the meticulous details and overall craftsmanship. Turning the plaque over reveals identifying marks on the back that served as the detective's clues. An impressed eagle and a surviving retailer label, both diagnostic features, place the origin of the plaque in Berlin around the turn of the 20th century. The presence of the retailer label, often lost or damaged over time, was a particular stroke of luck as it added to the plaque's provenance and value. Taking into account the plaque's pleasant subject matter, good condition, and historical connection, the estimated value of the item is,
I would expect would sell between $2,500 and $3,500.
Oh my goodness, that's great.
That's very good for a $5.
Yeah.
The guest scored a lucky find at a local Asian store, purchasing a large ceramic figure for a mere $30. The guest described noticing the item seemed out of place in the store and inquired about it, eventually convincing the owner to sell it for the offered price. The figurine is a picture of a shaman from the state of Nayarit in western Mexico, specifically from a place called Chinesco. Examining the piece, the overall style and shape were consistent with authentic shaman figures. However, the paint on the face, particularly around the eyes and nose, raised a red flag. Unfortunately, it is concluded that the figurine was a reproduction, not a genuine artifact. Despite this news, even as a reproduction, the piece held value due to its large size and impressive presence. The estimated worth on the decorative market is to be,
I would put a value of $300 to $500.
That's a good return for $30.
Now, do you want the bad news?
Yeah, go ahead.
The guest brought in 2 holiday items for appraisal, a devil lantern and a Santa Claus figure. The guest has been collecting holiday items for 30 years, particularly drawn to Santas and the colors and traditions of Christmas. The devil lantern was purchased at a flea market for $150 10 years ago. It is a rare molded cardboard lantern, most likely German-made from the early 1900s. The fact that the lantern retained its original horns, ears, and paper inserts for the eyes, nose, and mouth significantly increased its value. These paper inserts were particularly fragile and often burned away when the candle was lit, creating the desired spooky effect, but leading to their loss over time. The lantern also has its original base, although it's a bit worn. Considering these factors, the estimated value of the lantern is,
Still, I'd put it at least $400 to $600 as an auction estimate.
The Santa Claus figure, on the other hand, was a recent purchase of $250 from a dealer. Unfortunately, it is a reproduction, not a vintage piece. The guest inherited this painting from her father, who had a collection of 6 such works. The artist, Ralph Cahoon, was a Cape Cod native known for his whimsical, nautical-themed paintings featuring mermaids and sailors. This particular painting, an oil on masonite, dates back to the mid-20th century and retains its original Victorian frame, likely chosen by Cahoon himself.
This is basically the original frame. I'm sure Ralph put it in this frame.
The vibrant scene showcases 13 mermaids, a sailing ship with sailors, and an American flag, set against a polar backdrop. Cahoon's work gained recognition and value after his death in 1982, and his whimsical style is celebrated. Given its rich detail and Cahoon's rising prominence, this painting at auction would fetch.
Good auction estimate would be $30,000 to $50,000.
Great. Good price.
Exhibited today is a vintage oil-on-canvas painting by Thomas Hill. Hill was an American artist of the 19th century. This piece was purchased by the guest's husband at a yard sale in the 1970s.
He liked it because it was a picture of the outdoors. That was one of those things you buy at a yard sale.
Depicted in the painting is a view of Vernal Falls in Yosemite National Park, featuring the majestic waterfall, rocks, and a mist trail. The painting has been very well preserved. However, this particular piece was created by Hill after he suffered a stroke, which may affect its value. At auction, we can anticipate this vibrant oil-on-canvas painting fetching a value of...
I think at auction right now, this is probably worth about $6,000 to $8,000.
Holy smoke. Excellent. Thank you.
The guest was cleaning the basement after her mother's death and found a bag and a pillow among her belongings, which were gifts from her father. The guest further mentioned that her grandfather had brought the pillow from Nez Perce, Idaho. The appraiser revealed that the pillow, dated 1906, was from the Niagara Falls area and was likely made by the Seneca, Iroquois, or Mohawk as a tourist item. The beading technique on the pillow was called cluster or clump beading, which gave a 3D effect, indicating it was not a Nez Perce piece at all. The appraiser identified the other item as a Cheyenne bag, beaded on both sides. Interestingly, the bag had different designs on each side, with the back side being the negative of the front side, using the lazy stitch technique. The appraiser admired the beautiful beadwork on the bag, noting the craftsmanship. The bag featured a classic box and bar design, possibly made in the 1870s or 1880s. Sewn with animal sinews and thread, this bag was likely made in Montana or Wyoming. The appraiser estimated the first piece to be...
It would probably be worth, at an auction, $150 to $200.
Okay.
With some cleaning needed, the appraiser estimated the bag's value to be...
If this bag here came up for auction, and that needs to be cleaned also, it's fairly dirty from dust, it would probably sell for $3,000 to $5,000.
Okay.
This guest brought in some items that he thought belonged to the Native American chief Sitting Bull. Sitting Bull was a Hunkapapa Lakota leader during years of resistance against United States government policies. However, just like most items said to belong to Sitting Bull, there's no way to prove the same for these items, as there are no documents provided to support that he owned them.
In 20 years, I've seen probably 1,000 objects that were allegedly belonging to Sitting Bull.
Of particular interest among the items, though, is a bag in the middle. The bag is the only example of its type in the world and can be said to be a tobacco bag of Native American quality. Conservatively speaking, this bag, with its make and designs, without even being attributed to Sitting Bull, would be worth...
At $25,000.
Whoa.
Highly sought after for its vibrant and high-quality color reproduction, this chromolithograph is a significant example of American art.
Here we see the name Louis Aiken. It's dated 1906.
It was a popular form of mechanical color printing from the late 19th century to the early 20th century. Created by Louis Aiken, this piece is based on a painting and utilizes the chromolithography technique, which allowed for the production of color prints mechanically, a significant advancement over the previous method of hand-coloring black and white prints with watercolors. However, given its cultural significance and the presence of the original brass plaque, it's worth...
Retail shops around the United States are selling this for about $4,500.
Wow.
Today, we present a lunar base demonstration kit acquired by the guest from her father, who served as the program manager for advanced space studies at Boeing. This kit includes several intriguing items. Among them is a spacecraft model, constructed in two halves that are assembled together. The model, crafted from a combination of wood and metal, accurately portrays various compartments. Additionally, we feature a moving laboratory model accompanied by its blueprint. A photograph of the guest's father holding these models is also on display. This kit holds significant value in America's space exploration history and is estimated to be worth,
I would say, between $4,000 and $5,000 at auction.
Really?
For this particular table full of materials.
Thank you so much.
presented with letters written to a baseball legend by a Mary Fitz, along with a baseball, which are remarkable pieces of history. The baseball legend is best known for managing the New York Yankees and was a key figure in their 1920 success. Miller Huggins. These items were acquired by the guest from Dorothy's grandson, who needed money for college. The letters signed Uncle Miller indicate a close, non-romantic friendship between Huggins and Dorothy. The 1927 World Series baseball features signatures from baseball legends, including Huggins, which is rarer.
Who is far rarer because he died in 1929. There's the Ruth, of course, that you want to see on the sweet spot.
The letter is particularly fascinating, mentioning Dorothy's four-leaf clover gift to Huggins. Huggins' leadership was pivotal, even suspending Babe Ruth for misconduct in 1925. The baseball, signed by legends of baseball including Huggins, which is quite rare, would fetch,
I would put on somewhere between $8,000 and $12,000.
while the letters, although having a personal touch, would bring.
These letters I'd put in about $6,000 to $8,000.
That's amazing.
This vase exhibited on the show was purchased by the guest at an auction. It is a model of the Portland vase, which was acquired in the 1980s by the Duchess of Portland. Interestingly, the real Portland vase was a glass vase made in the Roman Empire.
And it has a very celebrated history. It first came to light in what you might call modern history in the 17th century.
And it is exhibited today in the British Museum in London. This particular vase displayed features beautiful engravings on its sides and has two handles, resembling the Portland vase. Therefore, it is not authentic, greatly affecting its value.
It's not a Wedgwood Portland vase, it's a copy of the Portland vase, cast out of plaster of Paris, which is not a difficult thing to do.
At auction, this replica of the Portland vase would be valued at,
I'm afraid $60 is about where the value lies. So,
I kind of figured that.
All right, curious object and great story, but not a valuable item.
The guest inherited a painting from her grandfather, which had been passed down through the family members. It had been stored in closets and wasn't a favorite among family members. In fact, the guest's son wanted to sell the painting after her death. The painting was titled Landing a Beauty by Philip Russell Goodwin, who was born in 1882 and died in 1935. Goodwin was a precocious artist who sold his first work at age 11 and went on to illustrate books and calendars. The painting was created around the turn of the century and depicted a dramatic moment of two sportsmen netting a fish. There were concerns about the painting's condition, including a possible cleaning and a tear repair. Despite these issues, the painting had a significant value and history, and it was appraised at,
I would think that in a retail gallery, it might sell for about $125,000.
Oh my God, I won't have to live with my kids for that much longer. So, yeah, a retail gallery. So where is a retail gallery?
The guest saw this whale's tooth at her grandmother's home, which belonged to her second great-grandfather. He served on the Constellation near Africa, where ships brought slaves. He served on a military vessel, a war sloop, capturing ships with slaves on board. In the 18th century, whaling mostly occurred in northern seas. By the mid-19th century, it shifted to the southern seas. This tooth has fascinating images, highlighting its age and historical importance.
On a scale of 1 to 10 for a folk art collector, this is definitely a 9.5.
Old well-toothed designers used needles or knives to scratch images, then ink them for contrast. It features ships, houses, and American imagery, making it valuable folk art. It was made between 1830 and 1840. The tooth doesn't have colorful inks, but it is real and old, and its value at auction.
It would probably be in the $8,000 to $12,000 range.
Oh my word! I am surprised.
This man shared the fascinating story of her great-grandmother, Virginia O'Hanlon, who wrote the famous letter to the New York Sun in 1897 asking if there was a Santa Claus. The letter became a family heirloom passed down through generations and was previously kept by her grandmother and then her mother. The original letter is from 8-year-old Virginia, and the iconic response is from Francis P. Church. It was suggested that the item be preserved on acid-free paper for its longevity. To the owner's surprise, the historical document's value exceeded his expectations.
We really feel that something like this would be worth between $20,000 and $30,000.
That's impressive.
Behold, here are a pair of baby shoes of stunning beauty, seemingly made of cloth. The guest inherited these Mohawk child's moccasins from her family. The guest's famous Canadian ancestral family received this item from an iconic figure.
And you have quite a bit of history with them, and one of the things that fascinates me is you're actually the ancestor of a fairly famous Canadian.
Joseph Brant, a very influential Mohawk Indian chief, highly respected by the British and some of the world leaders. Looking closely at the items, we can see the beautiful patterns with which gemstones are arranged just above the shoes. Experts have confirmed these shoes were made around the 1860s, which is after Brant died in 1807, questioning their authenticity. Reflecting on their lack of authenticity related to the great Mohawk chief, this historic Mohawk footwear would sell for.
The value would be about $500.
Oh, well, that's more than I expected.